and she plays this sort of like, she's great. She's great.
Oh, that's so great.
Hmm.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Okay, I guess we got a little technical.
I apologize, guys. For some reason, I had it in my head this meeting began at 10:30. So that was my fault. I do apologize.
No problem.
And I couldn't, even though on my calendar it says 10 o'clock. I don't know what to say.
These things happen.
Ay, sorry. I know everyone's time is precious, so I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, now we're waiting for Richard to make it back.
Does he know that he can try to log on again?
Yeah, we were all on. I had set up an alternate connection, and Richard was on, and so was Marie. And so we all said, well, let's jump off of this, being that you're recording, and jump back on to.
Got it.
He said that he didn't get the link.
I just sent it to him,
Okay.
but maybe.
It's the same original link.
Okay, I just sent it to him again. He was here. I don't know what happened.
Patrick was also in, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Oh,
I
what?
think Patrick said he's gonna come back at 10:30, I think.
Yeah, it's
That's-
already
It's
10:40.
10:30 now.
Yeah. Well, why don't we get started anyway?
Did everybody get did you guys get the agenda, by the way? I sent
I
out
got
an
it.
agenda to everyone.
I got it.
Okay.
Yes, and I also looked at I read your email very closely, Janice, and I went back to the governor's, the book, the proposal. And I mean, look, you're right. You are right that that's what we're supposed to be doing. My only question is, what I mean, is it a particular committee who should be doing that? Are we supposed to be doing it? How is this, how is the work divided?
Well, honestly, the whole committee was put together because of the George Floyd incident. This is
Right.
my belief. I didn't have a conversation with Governor Cuomo, but this is what my interpretation of the guideline book is, that this committee and those across New York was put together because of the last straw, which was the George Floyd case. So,
By the way, all of you, Richard and Patrick are on now.
Okay. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
So should I carry on or should we start the meeting?
No. Continue. Let's let's talk about
Let's hear it. Do it.
All right. So my interpretation of the guideline was that after the George Floyd murder by the police officers out there, that the governor had enough and he decided that he wanted to put some reforms in basically, I think it was to keep things like that from happening again. And then he referenced Breonna Taylor in there. He referenced Eric Garner. He referenced Sandra Bland, among other names he referenced. And the only one that I can remember that was from New York was Eric Garner. So I'm taking that to mean that these things that are happening all across the country, he does not want to happen here in New York. That's what I took it to mean. So he wants police reform to put mechanisms in place that will keep things, well, not, we can't do, we can't, we can only do so much, but to try to keep things like that from happening here in New York. That was my interpretation of the guideline.
And can I make a comment there? When we say that not happening in New York, we have had this happen in New York. I mean, we have had this happen in White Plains. We've had this happen in Pleasantville.
Well, we've had our share of tragedies, and my interpretation of the guideline was he was done. He wanted to fix things. He didn't want it to continue to happen.
Yes.
So that was my interpretation of the guidelines, and he referenced areas across the country where it has happened. He didn't specifically mention White Plains, but we all know it has happened in White Plains. Right. So I don't believe anyone should get defensive when you say that, change is going to be necessary. And because White Plains is pretty good and in the last 9 years have made tremendous strides in revamping their police department, I don't think they have anything to worry about. But I do think they got a little defensive at my comment. And we haven't even made any recommendations yet. I know I haven't heard of any recommendations, so why get defensive? And why say that they don't think they should suffer because of what is going on across the country? That was totally
well, I didn't hear anybody say that they shouldn't suffer.
Well, it was said, and it's on recording.
Yeah, well, I don't think that. Let's be realistic here. The police are always going to be guarded about how they are viewed, and any time that, and I think it's the general nature of any person's when you're maybe accusing them or saying something to them that's going to be defensive in there, and I think that was their tactic. I think that stand to reason that they would look to defend themselves or even be proactive about defending themselves.
Well, they don't have to defend themselves.
That doesn't get in the way of us still doing what we have to do or even making the comments that we have to make.
Well, it doesn't. Marie asked me to talk about my comment, so that's what
I understand. I understand, and I let me tell you that I understand and appreciate your comments. I think that they make a lot of sense, but I also look to be realistic about what we're dealing with. We are looking to bring some change to a group that, and in any group, they feel that they should not have to go through change. And that's a reality. I think that across the board, most places will say, why do I have to go through this? And if we seem to be doing okay. And so from what I was looking to say is that they may feel that they're doing okay, but we can improve. And so I want to spot the ways that improvement can take place so that we don't have these things happen versus censoring them for or trying to be sensitive or being sensitive to their resistance. It's almost as though I know when I deal with my kids, although these are not children, it's always a sense of, well, let me say that everything is, you don't have to tell me what to do. I can do what I have to do. But the governor has now given us the ability to give a point of view from the side of the people who are receiving the service and make some comments so that they can improve, even though they may feel that they are okay.
Well, the truth, I think they are okay. I think they are okay. But
I don't,
I
go
think
ahead.
they are okay. And I just wonder, like, if you are going to be defensive about reform, then why are you on the committee? The committee, no one on the committee should be defensive about suggestions or comments. I don't think that that's what, why would you be on a committee that's going to be specifically about reform if you don't want to be part of it, or if you don't think you need it? But I don't even want to spend a lot of time talking about that, because all in all, I don't think White Plains has anything to worry about. I don't think that, I think that they're okay. We're just going to see what we can tweak, what we can modify, if anything, maybe nothing. Who knows what we're going to come up with? And I mean, I'm sure we're going to come up with something, but I don't think they have anything to worry about. So my take on
Look, can I say something here? I mean, just because we don't have any personal experiences with police abuse in the city of White Plains doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I think we heard from some people who spoke to the general committee about some abusive behavior by police officers in the city of White Plains. And, so I since I don't have personal experience with this and other people do, except from what I hear from time to time from clients, is that, I think that there are times when, individual police officers are abusive to people, particularly minority people in our city. And, I expect that the police brass in our city are going to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with anything that anybody does here. We're great. But we're talking in our subcommittee about how we can improve the policies and procedures that the police department use so that officers are trained not to abuse that authority. I mean, we can't control everything, but if there's a rule book and there's something in the rule book which is wrong or which emphasizes, try to use these police tactics so that you can, toss people if you want to, or, don't worry, nobody's going to be looking too closely if you wind up beating the hell out of somebody. I mean, I really think there's a culture in the police department generally. And I can tell you that after the Garner murder, when I was, at a federal bar council meeting with Andy Quinn, who's the PBA lawyer in Westchester, he told me and the federal judge who I was standing next to about that if the police did it, it was legal. And this is the attitude of the police, the police union in our county. So for them to say, well, there's no problem and we don't need anybody looking over our shoulder, forgive me, but I'm skeptical of that.
And
Well,
I
think it's
I
important.
agree with you, Richard. I agree with you 100%. And I think that we have an opportunity to go beyond just making comment about policy, and we have ability to go to making comment and suggestion and recommendation about procedure, which I see that there's a lot of opportunity to grow in that in the White Plains Police Department. And by the way, I do have experience with the White Plains Police Department firsthand. I mean, it's what I do every day in terms of dealing with White Plains Housing Authority and the people who receive services from the White Plains Police Department. So I can see and I have experience with that. In addition, Marilyn, who sent a letter, I think I sent to everybody this morning.
Mhm.
She's a resident of the White Plains Housing Authority, and she has general comment on her experience and experience of those that she has spoken to within the White Plains Housing Authority about their position on the police. So I do think that we can go even beyond, in my mind, in terms of visioning what we'd like to have happen. And that's how I look at our opportunity. It's not just that we are making comment about policy and procedure, but we can envision what we actually want to see have happen. with the police department as they go forward and deliver service to this community.
Well, we
Okay,
were
I
there.
have a
well,
question. Yeah. Well, Janice, you're the chairperson of the entire committee, okay? So I guess my question is, how are these, what do we have, 5 or 6 subcommittees? Like, how are they all supposed to, I mean, are they supposed to work together? I assume they are, to come up with a master, proposal. So should we just be focusing on policies and procedures? Because I think what you're referring to kind of goes toward like bias and just overall, I don't have the different committees in front of me, but the overall,
culture of the
yes,
police department.
yes, correct,
But
correct.
this committee here is for policies and
Right.
procedures. And there's
Right.
going to be some overlap, especially in conversation. There's going to be overlap. So, we're supposed to specifically talk about policies and
Okay.
procedures. And I just feel like we were brought to the police station to have to hear them out and for them to listen to us. And then no one said anything when they mentioned what they mentioned. So I was just wondering at that moment, where were we?
I don't understand what you mean by that. Could you explain that a little bit more? What you mean we were brought to the...
I'm sorry, what are you saying?
Yeah, if you could explain in more detail what you mean by we were brought to the police department and nobody said anything. I don't understand what you mean by that.
When it was said that they don't feel that they need to suffer because of what is going on all across the country, they wasn't called out on that.
And so you feel that because we did not respond to just that one message that there was no significance in going to that meeting?
I never said that.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand.
No, I never said that.
Yeah.
I just thought that was the time to talk about the culture of the police department. And it didn't happen. The meeting was over. And I just felt.
Okay. So I think that we still have that opportunity. I mean, because it didn't happen at that time.
We don't have a lot of opportunities because we got to start coming up with recommendations or suggestions that we can bring to the bigger group, to the larger group, because we're all going to have our recommendations, and we still, we have a lot to do. This committee has a lot to do.
I agree, but if you feel that is significant enough
enough,
that it didn't happen then we still have that opportunity.
I don't feel that it's that significant. It was mostly it was just a feeling that I had, not really anything we need to elaborate on.
I think we all know where the police stand, so I don't know that we need to, meet with them again either. We know where they stand. It was good to hear their perspective. Just as, I guess they were I think they were happy to hear our perspective, or at least they were open to it. They were open to listening.
I think they were. I think that for the most part, I don't have any problems, so.
So did everyone get a chance to take a look at Merlene's comments?
I read them.
I did.
All right. Do you have any questions, or I just want to make that a record because Marlene said she's not able to make it here. She did want to have her thoughts communicated to the group, and she did it in writing. So I want to make sure that everyone had an opportunity, or will have an opportunity, to review her comments and ask questions of ourselves or comment on it any further.
Well, in her letter, she said she left the meeting feeling as if the White Plains Police Department didn't need a revamp and felt that they were fine compared to the others. So, I mean, she kind of left with this, the same feeling as I did.
Yes. And I understand that also. And
Is
she also,
anybody, when did she send it? I'm looking through my email.
I sent that to you this morning. I sent it to everybody this morning. So if you look in your meeting this morning, she actually sent it to me this morning, and I sent it out to everybody this morning.
Okay.
So,
I read Bernie, what she had to say.
yes.
And, I had a conversation with Claire Degnan, who's the executive director of the Westchester County Legal Aid Society, about this police reform committee generally. And she told me is that in the different committees across our county, every police department says, we're great, and problems happen elsewhere. So this is the nearly routine response of police officers, supervisors, that the problems are elsewhere, and we don't need any change here. So this is part of the culture of police departments. I think it's not just in Westchester County, but I suspect it's the culture everywhere in the country, that everybody should just, give them a standing ovation for being first responders, and, like focus on their badge during the Yankee game, like they do. And, nobody should question anything. And I just think that is part of the problem that this committee as a whole is dealing with, is the resistance that we're going to get to for any proposed change that we made. They feel like they're under the gun and is unjustified, notwithstanding, some of these bad incidents, because they're going to say it didn't happen in my city, or the one killing that they did, well, that was, 9 years ago. That was another lifetime, right now we're good, whatever it is, so I just think that, what our recommendations are for our subcommittee, and what the committee as a whole recommendations we make to the governor, or and to the mayor and the city council and that sort of thing. I mean, that they may not be happy that we are suggesting that there should be some changes, and that should be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we make our recommendations, they can accept them. I mean, look, it's not up to them to accept them or not. It's up to the mayor's office or the common council, whoever has the final say. But again, I think it was good to hear their perspective.
Good.
So we need to, how do
I
we go
agree.
forward?
So we wanted to have the conversation today about one, our follow-ups to what we went through at the police department, and then do we need to review any more policies? In my opinion, I don't think we do, but the rest of the committee, is to how you feel, is do we need to review any additional policies, or should we proceed from here at making recommendations?
Did we go through them all?
I think we went through the policies that we received in general. I think that we covered just about everything that we received, but do we need to go through all of them in the same fashion? And I think that the major policies that we received, we can make some general comment on. I see policy issues across the board amongst all of the policies that we had seen that may be consistent, which would lead me to say that all of the policies need to be reviewed in detail in some professional manner, which I think is outside of our ability at this time.
Yeah, well, that's my question, I guess. When we go through these policies and make recommendations, I assume we don't have to like make exact recommendations, like replace this word with this word and so on. But if our recommendations are to fine tune these things so that the police have less discretion in, making arrests, less discretion in field stops and so on, then, I mean, look, I don't know. Karen and Janice would know better, and what exactly that the overall committee or the mayor's office is going to be looking for. So I guess the question is, do we want it really, really specific, or do we want, more general recommendations?
I think we could do both. I think for the policies that we've seen, if we want to make specific note to those policies that we've seen, as we have a vehicle to do that. And then if we want to make some general statements about policies in general, or procedures in general, we can do that also. Why just limit ourselves to one approach to this?
I agree with Bernie. This is Karen. I think that the mayor and council members would be very open to receiving, both specific suggestions where you feel you could make specific suggestions, as well as more general recommendations. You of all the subcommittees, this subcommittee has probably the most detailed job. So, so some general recommendations for moving forward on policies and procedures, I think would be absolutely acceptable, as well as if there are specific ones that you want to make as well. So don't worry about that. And there is no preconceived notion of what these recommendations will look like. You should put forward the recommendations that you feel that you want to put forward that are needed.
Okay. I have another question. Is it possible for us to sit down and meet in person again? I think that's more productive for me anyway. Like when we sit around a table and really, roll up our sleeves and make, specific suggestions without the police. I mean, just our committee. I mean, what do you guys think?
Could we use City Hall, Karen, for that?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I could reserve the council chambers for you, which is our largest room and which would ensure that everybody can be nice and distant. And, we keep the door open and there's good airflow and everything. So if the committee wants to do that and they have a date, then you just let me know and I'll reserve the council chambers for you.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Marie.
Yeah.
I agree with you. To be in front of each other where we could communicate back and forth. I think getting past the technicalese of
Well,
our communication helps.
Now that, we may be getting down to the wire a little bit more. Now, do we need?
So let me
Right.
just ask this about the wire. I have an issue with that. And Karen and Janice, maybe you could answer this for me. I know that we have the need to get things done as it seems as quickly as possible to have something to go into some group. But I think that what we're doing is so significant to our community, especially the community that I serve, that I think that I don't want to feel pressured about not being as complete as we can. So I think if we had a general set of recommendations and we were to submit those, that we still have some time in order to come up with additional guidelines or recommendations that maybe could tag along or go outside of what gets enveloped in at this particular time. I think that I received a note that we were supposed to have our set of recommendations by the 20, what is that, Karen, by the 26th of?
The 24th, which is Tuesday, because we have a full committee meeting that evening.
Okay, so.
The 24th of what? November?
This week, yes,
Yeah,
coming up
and-
on Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
That ain't happening.
Because we have so much detail to go into what we do, I think that I feel our committee needs more time to come up with the framework of what we feel is important. I understand that there's a drive to get things done by a certain date and time. I do understand also that I think that this doesn't go to the governor until April sometime. So if it's that our general committee in White Plains needs to understand where we're coming from and get some ballpark feel as to what we're talking about, I think that we may be able to put some bullet points together that that will frame up our general premise as to what we're doing. But in terms of our overall recommendations, I'm not comfortable with saying that we're going to have something by the 26th of this month.
Well, I'm only asking for preliminary recommendations. I'm only saying that we should start putting them together. No one's probably going, maybe one or two committees might be in a, maybe in the finalizing state, but the most of us are not. But we do need to start putting things together because the holidays are going to come and we want to have a chance to meet with the council before we give them our final report. So if we meet with them and they give us their input, then we're going to want to go back and spend more time tweaking or adding or subtracting our recommendations. So we're going to need time after we meet with them. So we don't want to wait until we don't have a lot of time to make changes if we need to. So my suggestion is that we start putting preliminary recommendations together. And, you know, I mean, by no means are we at the position or we're at the point where we have everything we need to have, but we need to start going in that direction so that when it's time to meet with the council, so that they can hear what we, you know, what we have so far, they might, you know, they might reject everything. Then we're gonna have to start all over again. Right. So we need to have time to do that.
I understand where you're coming from, the urgency to it, but I still think that the work that we're doing in comparison to others is of such, one, it has a level of detail that may be different than the other groups. And I do think, as Marie has recommended, that we get together as a group face to face to be able to create that. I know that I can put together a position as to the route that we're going and be able to include that for whatever reporting that you need to have happen within this group.
Right. I'm thinking the same thing. Maybe we can each come up with like an outline of what we would recommend. And then if we sit down and put them all together, we could hash it out. And in case, you know, I've missed something or you've missed something. I just throw that out there.
Janice,
yes.
Could I make another recommendation or a suggestion?
Yep.
So on Tuesday evening, when the full committee meets, you will want to start going through or hearing from the subcommittees their preliminary recommendations. We could leave policies and procedures, this subcommittee, till the end, till the last one, and maybe focus on focus Tuesday night on 2 or 3 of the other subcommittees and have discussions about their preliminary recommendations, you know, trying to give this committee some additional time to finish up its work. So we don't necessarily, you know, need to discuss on Tuesday this subcommittee. Maybe we can focus on, you know, start the process of going through the recommendations, but focus on, you know, other committees.
Can I just jump in here for a second? You know, I just wanted to say that I think the only thing we could say by Tuesday is that the subcommittee believes that changes should be made to a variety of procedures or policies that the city of White Plains has right now, and that we are intent in making specific recommendations and general policy recommendations for the city of White Plains, but we don't have that work finished. I mean,
yeah,
we could do something like that, because I think what we've tried to do is go through the policy documents, or the police handbook documents, and I think the committee has seen that many of them are deficient, and we're going to have to. I don't think there's any way around making specific recommendations that certain things be changed. in the written policies, because these are, I guess, in theory, what the police department follows, or what the officers are instructed to follow. And so if these things are wrong, what we could do is we could make recommendations that they be changed. But, what that means that we're going to have to, each have our own ideas, like we've talked about before with respect to these policies, as to what should be changed in each one of them. And that could mean, in some senses, in some policies, there are, remember how that there was the word "or" in one of them, which permitted police to do stuff that's not legal or proper, as I recall. So I think we're going to have to do some specific recommendations, and I know that's hard work, but we're going to need to sit down in writing and go over our recommendations for each one of these policies. If there's something that's, particularly if there's something that's startlingly wrong. I mean, I think it's our responsibility. There's no other committee that can be responsible for, deleting or changing some of the policies that the city has that need to be changed. So we're just not going to be able to do that by Tuesday.
Do you think that by the time that before we leave this meeting today, that we will know when we're going to all sit together and talk at City Hall?
We have to.
And do you think that maybe each one of us can take a policy and go over it with a fine tooth and make recommendations specific to the particular policy that we have, and then bring it to that meeting?
I let me comment on that. I understand what you're saying. I think that from my point of view, just looking at the policies and taking what we have in policy and making a comment to a specific policy is not the road that I see myself going down. I think that there's just overall changes that need to take place in procedure that relate to the policies that I think need to be made. And so I think that the work that we've gone through in terms of commenting on, and if others in the group feel as though they would like to comment on a specific policy and come up with some changes to that policy, I think that is makes sense. However, I do think also that we need to make comment on how those policies affect operations and procedures within the department. And that's where I feel that there is a lot of value that we need to add to what our work is. So I, for one, would not want to take a specific policy and look to work through it. I think that for me, does not warrant my time. I think that all of the policies in general need to be reevaluated and made changes to. But a specific policy for me to look at, I wouldn't want to go down that road for me.
Well, I guess my suggestion is we can schedule a meeting, and with the goal toward having something, each of us have some kind of idea of how to proceed. And whether it's each take one policy, I mean, that's probably better, because if we all try to do it together, it's probably not quite as efficient. But, however, but we need to kind of like force the issue and actually get started on it.
I think that your recommendation of getting together to have this meeting makes sense. I think that as Janet has said, that we should all be prepared to put in writing, as Richard said, our points of view on either it be a policy or overall procedure that we have reflected on what we've gone through so far. I think that's warranted. I can envision being in a meeting with everyone, and specifically in writing and in detail, point to the topics and areas that I feel would make sense for us to make comment on for improving the procedures and policies in general. I'm very capable, I feel right now, being able to point to those things from seeing all of the policies that we've seen and that we've gone through so far.
All right. Do you guys want to pick a date? A day? That might be hard with the holidays, but
Can I ask a question though? Richard, Patrick,
Yes.
you're on the line with us. What are some, I haven't heard essentially from you, and I don't want to leave you out. So do you have any thoughts on what you've heard us discuss so far?
Everyone makes valid points. There are certain specific items that would need to be changed. We try to bring that up with the police with respect to some of the comments Richard had made with respect to field stops and them using the itemization of them. We had suggested, I think I specifically reiterated Richard's point of maybe taking everything else out after reasonable suspicion. And they got defensive as to that. So I think there are cases like that where we need to make specific recommendations. And I also think as an overall whole, I agree with you, Bernie, that the whole system, they need to have reviewed and have an overview. So it's a difficult position from our office because we can't be involved in dictating policy that we're then going to enforce on the police. So it's a tricky position for our office with respect to this.
I appreciate your comments. I really do. So as Marie said, can we look at a date in which we can all get together face to face? It may be that we need either a span of time, or it may mean that we need to have multiple times in order to do this. We should be prepared to approach it in that way. It may not be something that we could do within an hour's span of time. We've spent a lot of time at this so far. I think to say that we were just going to give this an hour in terms of meeting with each other may not be sufficient to get through what we need to get through. So what do you envision, Marie, in terms of us getting together?
well, I kind of like the setup that we had, at the police station, where, we sit at a conference room, or, if Karen can provide that. And we can maybe each bring to the table, like, what I'm thinking for myself is to come up with like some kind of a draft of what topics we want to touch upon, and then we can discuss them and then go from there as far as drawing up, our specific recommendations. I mean, no, obviously we're not going to be able to do it by Tuesday. I mean, I guess the first time I would be available would be Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, if anybody, or maybe the following Monday.
I'm also available that Friday after Thanksgiving.
Are we
But, you
talking
know-
business hours or after? Because I have work. We're open on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm not available on Friday, but I am available on Monday.
Monday's the
30th. And maybe that'll give us enough time to actually,
prepare
each
stuff.
of us come up with something. Yes.
What time
Yeah,
are we
so-
talking?
I mean,
That's the
Do you
next
want
thing.
to
So
do-
it's-
You want to do it
saying-
at like 5 o'clock or something on Monday?
That's fine with me. I mean, is there any possibility of doing it like during the daytime?
Well,
Well,
Pat says he,
Patrick says he's working at that time.
Yeah, I have
Everyone,
court on Monday.
Monday is a council work session, so Monday evening,
Okay.
I won't have any rooms available for you.
Okay.
But if you wanted to do something during the day on Monday or early in the morning, 8:30, that's fine as well.
If we have to have it on the premises of the city, it's one thing. If we don't have to have it on the premises of the city, I can find us a place to meet.
Well, I guess we need to, agree on a time first.
Well, I would
Well-
like to have us all involved, and I think that if we did it at 5, Patrick would be available to join us.
I can
I
probably
know,
do it at 4. Drug court should end by 3:30, 3:45, so I can be somewhere by 4. If you want me to ask the police if we want that meeting room that we met in this past week and see if I can get that.
Richard, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'd prefer to be someplace more neutral than the police department to have this meeting, to be honest.
I like the idea of 4:00 because then we'll be done, by 6, say. And I mean, if we meet at look, Richard, if we meet at the police station, the police aren't gonna, be part of the meeting. So I don't know how, if that
Okay.
would really affect us.
Is 4:00 available, Karen, or is that cutting it too close to the council meeting?
I'm going to have to check for you. I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
And Karen, let me ask you the question: do we have to meet on the premises of the city?
No, you don't. You can, we've been recording all the meetings, as you know. So if somebody wanted to use their phone to do a voice recording, wherever you are, I think that's fine. I could also check to see if there's a room at the library that's available for you. The
Oh,
library has
that's
some
true.
community meeting rooms.
That's true, they do.
I know that at the Housing Authority, we have a large meeting area, which we actually have that is available, or I can make sure it's left available. We even have a large conference room that we can record from also. So that's available to us, which is across the street from the courts.
Right.
So if
So
you
it's
say
close.
4:00, which seems to work for everyone, with a location to be determined.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not available on Monday, but that's fine. At that time on Monday.
Well, do we want you to, I mean, if you want to be included, we could maybe find another time.
No, it's, I think that if this works for the majority of the committee, since I'm not a member of the committee, I think that's fine. And you'll record the meeting and you'll get me a copy of the recording so that we can post it as we've done everything else. We'll be fine.
Janice,
Yep.
any thoughts?
4:00, I mean, is okay. I would prefer to be anywhere other than the police station, but my first preference is City Hall. I find that the most neutral, but if we can't go there, then wherever.
I mean, do you want to wait till Tuesday? I mean,
Tuesday's not good for me. So
Oh, okay.
I'm Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are good for me.
I mean, Karen.
Tuesday would be good for me if it was in the evening.
Yeah, but that's when the common council meets.
But that's not on Tuesday.
I think it is, right, Karen?
No, the meetings are on Mondays.
Oh, they're on Mondays. Okay.
Yes.
So Tuesday evenings are better for me than Tuesday during the day.
Tuesday evening, I mean, would 4:00 be okay? Or 5:00? Tuesday's fine with me. Any, whatever time you guys decide.
Yeah, anytime after 4 on Tuesday is okay with me.
At the present time, I don't see anything on my calendar that says Tuesday is that I have Tuesday available so far.
Not this Tuesday, the following Tuesday, correct?
The 1st,
Talking
December 1st.
Yeah, December 1st. And Karen, we'd be able to go to City Hall?
It shouldn't be a problem, but I can confirm tomorrow.
Okay. Just, whatever time you guys want.
I need Tuesday evening, so,
Yeah, it would still be 4 o'clock for me though.
okay,
Okay.
but 4 o'clock doesn't work for me. I would need Tuesday evening, like 5:30, I'm not gonna be around until, I won't even get home until close to 5, so, and then to get over there, it would be closer to 5:30.
I mean,
So-
5:30 or 6 would be okay. I mean, I prefer earlier than later. I mean, I don't want to go till 7, I don't want to start at 7 or 7:30.
Okay, well, would
Um,
5 work? I could get there 5. It would be a push, but I could try to do that.
Everybody else okay with
5
that?
is okay for me.
Yeah, I'm okay with 5. Anytime after 4, I'm good on Tuesdays.
Richard?
Yeah,
Okay, so 5 on Tuesday, the 1st, at
Yeah.
City Hall, hopefully.
Right. Is that okay with everyone?
Mhm.
okay.
It's okay with me. Now, I would, do we need any materials? Do we need, being that we're talking to each other, we'll have stuff to present uh, from each other possibly. Do we need anything? Do we need a whiteboard? Do we need a presentation pad? Do we need anything? Is that something that can be provided, Karen?
There's no whiteboard in the council chamber. We do have large screens, which we can use to project a document. Let's say if there's a document that you're working on and you can, edit that document. I can also give you an easel with, a large pad, and we can make notes on that. Standing an easel up, and then somebody would need to just take the notes from the meeting and put them into recommendation form.
I think that would be good if we had either of those. Even if we don't use them, they're available for us to have if we
Right.
need
And
to
then
use them.
if we do draw up something, like each of us, if we want to take notes, provide a copy for all of us so that, we can all look, follow along.
Yes.
So we're talking about 5 o'clock on the 1st?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a suggestion, which is that I think this is going to go better if we circulate, proposals for changes to specific policies that we've talked about, that are reflected in our minutes. And that we have sort of policy by policy, what, changes that we think ought to be made or suggestions. I'm not talking about like, writing a war and peace here, but we looked at some of the policies that I think all of them need some kind of changes, but some of them more than others, like the stop and frisk policy or the field stop policy, the use of force policy, the strip search policy. We have some policies that we want to make some comments on, and with proposed changes. And I think Bernie had that template that he sent around to you. You could use that, or you could just write something up in a word processing document, policy by policy, hopefully with page and section references.
I think it makes sense for us to use that template because it gives them uniformity, and we could point back to, we could be consistent with how we're talking about each of these together, which was the reason that I put it together. And you used it. It was very successful, I think, from what I was able to interpret as to what your comments were. And I think that it would really help if we had that same process for everybody so that we are consistent.
What template are you talking about? The one that you sent us out today?
No, there was one that was sent out before that had that allowed you to reflect on a particular policy, what page it was on, what paragraph or what section, what change need to be made, and what your comments were to that policy. It was a template that was a table that had 5 or 6
Oh, okay.
columns in it.
Okay. I think,
Do you
right.
remember that? Do you have that?
Yes.
If
But you
not,
know
I'll
what?
send it out
Why-
to everybody again.
Yeah, why don't you send it again, just
I
to be
will.
sure.
I'll send it today to everyone.
Okay.
So it sounds good. I think that if we don't have anything else to cover, I think that we have accomplished what we need to accomplish today, and we should plan to get together on the 1st.
Karen,
Anything else?
yes, sir. I want to ask Karen a question. Karen,
Yes,
what number meeting is this?
for the
For us.
Policies and Procedures Subcommittee.
Yes.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go back and look, Janice.
Okay.
I think you guys, you're far and away above.
I was gonna say, it's gotta
the
be at
others.
least half a dozen times.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll look. I'll go back through my calendar and look.
All right.
Yeah. And I will, I'll let you know, Bernie, I'll confirm the availability of the council chamber on Monday, and then send out an invitation.
That sounds great.
Okay.
It's not on, oh, you mean you're going to let him know on Monday? Because we're talking about Tuesday the 1st, right?
No, we're talking about this Monday, right?
I'm sorry. Yes, correct, Janice. Tuesday, December 1st.
Okay.
Right, so it's a week from tomorrow, but you'll confirm it as soon as you can.
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
Okay.
And the general meeting is this Tuesday at 7.
Correct.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Have a
See
good
you.
week. Good Sunday.
Okay. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right,
All right.
guys, take care. Bye.